All right, time to show you my PlayStation 2 collection. I'm not going to spoil it all for you. So we're going to put all of this off to the side, and we're going to start with Gran Turismo 4. Now, before we get too deep into it, I just want to say I did not grow up with the PS2. This is not a childhood collection. This is the collection that I've started since like 2021, maybe 2020. That was when I got my first PS2, somewhere around there. I made my ultimate PS2 video that you can check out in the link in the description if I remember to put it there. And I'm still learning the great PS2 games that I've missed out on because I was a Nintendo kid. So it's a smaller collection, and I'm still kind of building it, but I've definitely slowed down my retro game collection a little bit. Some of these games I bought on purpose, and some of these came included with used consoles because I used to just refurbish consoles and sell them like on Mercari and stuff before YouTube started to pick up and I made my own website. And this is where I got that game, Gran Turismo 4. It came in a broken PS2 that I bought and fixed up, and I kept it for myself. I've heard good things about this game. I've played it a little bit. I've played it on my MacBook video where I emulated PS2 games on the MacBook. It's an okay racing game. To me, it's kind of like going back to play old Maddens and stuff. What's the point? Just play the latest one. There's only going to be some times where you want to play the original or the old ones or whatever. And most of the time, you're just going to go straight back to the newest one anyways. But the intro looks cool. That's about all I have to say about that. I have a lot more to say about this one. God of War, the greatest hits version. Some people hate the greatest hits versions. I don't know why. It doesn't bother me. I absolutely love this game. I played God of War for the first time probably 2022, maybe 2021. And God of War has just become one of my favorite video game series of all time, if not my favorite. I don't know. It's definitely up there. And the first game is so good. I'm about ready to just play through the entire series again. I've mostly played God of War by emulating it. I have played a little bit of it on my slim PS2 that I've got, my white slim one. It's a very fun game. I highly recommend you play God of War if you have not. Like, the newer games are great, don't get me wrong, but I really like the originals, and that's coming from someone who didn't play the series until a few years ago. I have no nostalgia blinding me. These games are good. They stand the test of time, and I haven't even played like the PS3 remakes of these or remasters, whatever you want to call them. In general, I think I just love the hack and slash style game, and this was the game that made me realize that. And it's no shock that the next game is God of War 2. Another phenomenal game. It's part 1 to the God of War 3 part 2. And since God of War 3 is a PS3 game, I will say God of War 3 is my favorite. It is amazing. It is a masterpiece. Please go play God of War 3, but you should play the first 2 first. And this game is just as good as the first one. I think I like the first one just slightly better. Mainly because this is like, it leaves off on a cliffhanger, a great cliffhanger, but it just kind of felt incomplete to me because I'm like, man, I know that the next part is happening, and I get that satisfaction in the third game that is just all around more polished. I also played the God of War 3 remastered on PS4, so it's definitely more polished than God of War 2, the PS2 version. But man, the two of these games are just so good. And I really wish that more people talked about the original God of War games as much as they talk about God of War for PS4 and Ragnarok. Because Ragnarok is amazing, but like genuinely, I would put all 3 of the original games above the 2018 God of War. But they're also kind of different in a lot of ways, but it's still the same core series at the end of the day. It's like the PS4 one was just like a refresh of the series, but it still has a lot of the same stuff. It's not the same Kratos at all. Moving on from there, I've got Grand Theft Auto 3. I genuinely don't know how this came into my possession. I've heard great things about Grand Theft Auto 3, but not as many good things as like San Andreas, and I think there was a third one on the PS2. People are going to hate me for not knowing that, but I didn't get into Grand Theft Auto until Grand Theft Auto 4, and I really love Grand Theft Auto 4. I think it does not get enough praise like these games. But I was about to say it's a solid game, but I don't know because I haven't played it. Honestly, I don't even know if this disc works because I don't think I've even tested it. I just own it, and I think I probably got it in a bundle with another broken PS2 like I did for this one, especially because the case does not clip in down there. Nice. Now, the next game I have kind of played in a way, Kingdom Hearts. People really like Kingdom Hearts, and I don't. I'm not an RPG guy, and this isn't like the style of RPG that I'm like totally against, you know? Like it's definitely more action based than anything. So it's fine. And I am a pretty big Disney fan. I'm not quite Disney adult, but I do love my Disney characters. And so that was the big reason why I wanted to try Kingdom Hearts. And I tried it on like the PS4. Oh gosh, you Kingdom Hearts fans know what I'm talking about with the million different ways to play Kingdom Hearts. I don't remember which one it was, but it was the one that was for PS4 that I could play through the PlayStation Plus subscription. And I did not get very far because I got very frustrated because I couldn't beat this like one boss. I don't even remember what the boss was, but I got so frustrated. I deleted the game and I have not gone to play it since. I do not care. I don't like the gameplay of this, but I would love to watch all of the cutscenes because of Disney and stuff. And I feel like sad, I guess, because I just don't want to try that hard to beat the game just to see, like, just experience all the cool Disney stuff that they add to this. And I've heard it's a great story. I've watched retrospectives on it, but it's just not worth it because it frustrates me so much. And I want to have fun when I play video games sometimes. And so this makes this next game a little awkward to own because now that I've actually played a bit of the first Kingdom Hearts game, I'm like, I don't want to play this at all. I might, if I try and go back to the series, I might play Kingdom Hearts 3 because it being the most up-to-date game, it's probably a little easier than the PS2 games. But man, I also feel like I'm probably missing out on a lot of story because there's a lot of other games and a lot of story to Kingdom Hearts. There's a lot that happens between 2 and 3, surprisingly. I know that much. So yeah, I don't have much to say about Kingdom Hearts 2. I don't know if it's good or not. I assume it is because after this, they made 80 games and then they finally made Kingdom Hearts 3. Now, a game I do have a lot of experience playing is Namco Museum. This was my first real experience with the PlayStation 2, which in retrospect, it's kind of sad that this is like my most played PS2 game, but that's just what I knew growing up. My friend Brandon had a PS2, and every year for his birthday, we'd go over there, stay up all night because it was a sleepover and we were in the basement, and we'd literally just take turns playing Dig Dug over and over and over again. And those are some of my most cherished memories, playing Dig Dug in the basement at Brandon's house. Shout out to Brandon. Dig Dug is amazing, and I'm sure there's other great games on the Namco Museum disc here, but nothing beats Dig Dug, straight up. Now, the next game, I have more experience playing it on a different console, but I don't have that game for that console anymore, so I got it for the PS2. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3. My very first Tony Hawk game. I had a lot of fun playing this with my sister, which is just like kind of weird to say because me and Samantha are not skateboarding people at all. I tried to do a little skateboarding with my friend Aaron in high school, and I suck at it. But I loved playing Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and sitting there making skate parks over and over and over and over again with my sister. And we'd always have to delete it because we'd run out of space on the memory card, but we didn't want to make a new one. So we'd delete the old one to make a new one. And, you know, fun times. Not a ton of skateboarding happened in this game. It was more making skate parks and making cool loop-de-loops that probably never would have actually worked because you can't do that on a skateboard 3 times in a row like a giant corkscrew. But it was a fun game that I played on the GameCube for the most part. But I now own it for the PS2, and I have yet to play this as well. But I remember finding this at Goodwill one day, and I could not pass it up. And the last game in the stack is another game that I played mostly on the GameCube, Nicktoons Battle for Volcano Island. I have so many good memories of playing this game. It's probably a terrible game. I understand it's a Nickelodeon game, but I thought this was so cool. All the cartoons that I had watched were playable in a video game, and it was like couch co-op, so I'd play with my dad. Like, this was so cool for a kid my age back then. We never owned this game. We would just like rent it a bunch from Hollywood Video, and it was just so much fun. I would like to go back and like do a retrospective like video on this game, or just like stream it for fun. If the podcast was still going, I probably would play this for the podcast. I loved this game. I have a lot of good memories with it. And yeah, I think it's just like a puzzle platformer with like attacks, because you have enemies that come at you. Timmy Turner uses Cosmo as a hammer, so it's obviously an amazing video game. But yeah, that is my PS2 collection. It is quite small, but again, I've only had a PS2 as recently as a few years ago, which is crazy to think that 2020 was 5 years ago. Man, time flies. Let me know what PS2 games I should add to my collection. Which ones should I give a shot? I know I'm missing a ton of them. And what do you think of my collection? I think it's a nice little collection, and I should probably actually play the games I own.